Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. Today we will be doing an update on the Warden tank for update 31, the Waking Flames DLC. I first want to thank each and every one of you. I would have never imagined that people out there would like my videos. The last update to this build has been the best interaction I've had. From you guys asking questions about the build, to you guys watching and I hope enjoying the content that was put out for you. And I've personally felt that this was one of my better builds out there. Thank you all again. I hope I can continue making the content you like and improving the quality of these videos for you. If you have suggestions or want to see other types of videos, feel free to leave a comment down below. So let's get into it. This Warden tank is designed to be a buff monster for the group. We will be providing a good amount of utilities to the group. Everything from recovery to an increase of resources, better resistance, some damage shields, and more. For the setup, we did change a couple of things around for this patch. In my opinion, this was hopefully to make and improve to the strengths of the build. With an even longer duration to major force, more recovery on the build, and even some bonus buffs that were not present on the last build. Now, if you would like to learn more about this utility tank, I will be going over the stats, what skills I like to use, what kind of passives makes this build, what gear makes this build tick, and last, what is the CP setup at my current level. All of this is coming up next. So let's dive into it. First of all, we're actually going to go into our resistances right away. So we're going to buff up our resistance here, apply our heal over here. And on our sorting board, spell resistance is at 31,700 with physical resistance at 31,000. Back bar, it goes a little bit slightly lower, down to 29,500 and 28,800. Now, for max resources, our max magicka is sitting at 20,600, max health at 44,500, max stamina at 23,000. Now for recoveries on the build can go up a little bit higher by popping our potion and applying our enchanted growth. Our character on our back bar can have a total of 2,100 magicka recovery, health recovery at 400, stam recovery at 1,000, and it does drop when we go to our sword and board bar just by a little bit. For attributes on this build, we want 64 points into health. The reason for this is because we do have some skills scaled off of our max health, so the higher health we have, the better those abilities will end up being for us. On top of it, as a tank, it's really important to kind of stay alive. As long as we have a good amount of resources, which for me, having max magicka at 20,000 is good enough, and a max stamina at about 24,000 is what I feel comfortable with. Now for the Munda Stone on the build, we are running the Lord again because of the max health that we have. The more health we have, better for some of our abilities. You can change this if you want to. Let's say if you say our magicka recovery is slightly low on buffs right now, you could run the astronaut to get more of that. We could run more resistance, even though I think resistance is just fine at 31,000 all the way buffed up. We could put more into max magicka if we want more magicka sustain, or we could do more stam if we want more stam on the build. Choices are yours. Now, let's dive into the skills. Before we go over each of the skills, I will say that you do not have to have the skills in this order. You don't have to have Gripping Shard as your X button for Xbox. You can put it in your right bumper, you can put it in your B, Y, left bumper, kind of wherever you kind of feel more comfortable with it, though keep in mind that some of these skills are on this bar for certain reasons, so before you kind of change things around, just keep that in mind. Over in the passives, we'll be talking about that. So, first ability we have is down into the Winter's Embrace skill line. It is the second ability to unlock. Starts off as Impaling Shard. We morphed it to Gripping Shards. This will be 6 meters around us that will immobilize any enemies in there for 3 seconds, and it will deal some frost damage, which every 1 second for 12 seconds. On top of it, the enemies that are hit will be overcome with bitter cold, reducing their movement speed by 30% for 3 seconds. This is RCC, or this is a soft crowd control. You can stack soft crowd control abilities on top of each other. So this is one of those. And the nice part about the damage done here, it is based off of our max health. So the higher health we have, the better chance of, you know, of more damage of doing, and on top of it, applying the chilled stats effect on the enemies. Now, next ability we have is down into the one-handed shield skill line. It is the second ability to unlock. Starts off as low slash, we morphed it to deep slash. This is 6 meters from the target. We will deal some damage, and we also reduce movement speed to all enemies hit by this by 30%, so this can stack with our gripping shards for more movement speed reduction. But the main reason we actually want to use deep slash here is because this will inflict enemies with minor main, reducing their damage done by 5% for 12 seconds. Why is this important? The reason why this is important is because minor main is not just reducing damage for us, it's reducing damage for the DPS, reducing the damage that the healer takes. So by doing that, the healer doesn't have to work so hard to keep us or the DPS alive. On top of it, the DPS don't have to struggle with like self-healing them as much because they're taking less damage from these enemies. Next ability we have is down into your skilled skill line. First ability to unlock starts off as Silver Bolt, morph it to Silver Leash. This will deal some physical damage and reduce the enemy's movement speed by 30% for 4 seconds for the one that we pulled in. So yes, we got already our first 3 abilities are all soft crowd control abilities and to just reduce the enemy's movement speed. So enemies are going to be very slow when we stack a lot of these all together. I mean, it's not like additive where we add 30% here, 30% there, and 30% there. It's just a straight 30% all the way through. Now, I know some of you may be asking, why didn't you use Frozen Gate? Frozen Gate is found in our Winter's Embrace skill line. It is the last ability to unlock. The reason I didn't go with Frozen Gate is because it takes a second and a half to arm. And so you kind of got to be good at kind of knowing where your enemies are going. And granted, you should probably be using it on archers and mages, but for me, I kind of like the instant cast of like the Silver Leash grabbing something and pulling it right away to me. Makes it a lot easier for me to stack things a little bit quicker. Other than that, that's why I really don't use Frozen Gate, but if you prefer Frozen Gate, you can switch it out here for that. So next ability we have is in the Winter's Embrace skill line. It is the third ability to unlock, starts off as Arctic Wind. We then morph it to Polar Wind. This is our oh snap, we're gonna die type of heal, but we're actually using it a little bit more than that on this build. So this will heal us for a good chunk of 9,000 health and then an additional 1,000 health every 1 second over 5 seconds. Now the reason I went with this morph is because we will end up healing an ally within 12 meters of us for the same amount of health that we just got. And this can crit heal, so it can go a little bit higher. And when we have this active, we will deal some frost damage every 1 second while this is active to nearby enemies. And this is also, the healing off of this is based off our max health. So higher health, more healing done, kind of like our gripping shards, more health, more damage done. Now, next ability we have is back down into the one-handed shield skill line. The first ability to unlock starts off as Puncture. We morph Pierce Armor. This will deal some physical damage, and this will tell enemies to attack us for 15 seconds. This is going to be our main taunt. The reason for this being our main taunt is because we inflict the enemies with Minor Breach and Major Breach. So we reduce the enemy's physical and spell resistance. Minor Breach is the 2,900. The Major Breach is 5,948 for 15 seconds. So as long as our taunt is up. Now, why is this important? Most enemies in Vet dungeons have a total of 18,200 physical and spell resistance. By applying Minor Breach and Major Breach, the lower we get that enemy's resistance, the stronger the DPS are going to hit. So that is why it's kind of important to lower the enemy's resistance and why we want to use this as our main taunt, because they're going to hit, DPS are going to hit a lot harder for 15 seconds as long as we keep this up. And since this is a taunt, we do not want this taunt to run out. Keep this active all times. On top of it, do not over taunt it. Don't be casting this every, like, when you hit it and like wait 5 seconds and then reapply it, because that's not a good thing either, because when you over taunt, then you can't taunt again, and then it'll come off, and then that's when you're gonna probably get a DPS or even your healer killed. So don't over taunt, like taunt every 5 seconds. Wait for more of like it being done like 8 seconds later, or even down to like 2 seconds left on the top bar is probably the better thing to do. Now for ulti on this bar, I went with the one-handed shield skill line. Shield wall morph to spell wall. This will automatically block all attacks at no cost and reflect all projectiles cast at us for 7 seconds. Now the reason I went with this and not the other morph is because this blocks projectiles. So I can kind of use this in a clutch situation where your DPS are dead, your healer's down, and you can go get a res, because we can pop up for res within 7 seconds. So kind of make sure you kind of run over to somebody, look at them where their res bar is, and then start resing them, because we're going to block all melee attacks done to us. Now we reflect projectiles, so if like ads are hitting us with the projectiles, those arrows will go bounce back at them and deal some damage, along with mages. When the mages spell bolts come at us, they'll bounce back and hit them and deal damage as well. If you don't want to use spell wall, then other ones I would suggest using is we got Winter's Embrace, we got Sleet Storm, morph to Permafrost to deal some frost damage in an area for every second for 9 seconds. We reduce movement speed of the enemies by 70%, and we apply the chill status effect. Those that don't know what the chill status effect is, it is all the way, we can find it down here in the help, in tutorials, all the way down into combat. And status effect. So frost applies minor main, so kind of reducing their damage done to us. If we have a frost staff, then we can apply the minor brittle. So you gotta have a frost staff for the minor brittle on that. So yeah, permafrost, and we also gain major protection, reducing our damage taken by 10%, so making us a lot more tankier. We could even use the enchanted forest if we wanted to, just to, you know, just a nice little burst heal type of thing in an area. Every, you know, for a good heal for 1 second for 6 seconds, and we can generate 20 ultimate if the initial heal used on the friendly target is under 50% health, to kind of gain some ultimate back a little bit quicker. Those are kind of options there. Now going into the back bar, starting with the first ability we have is down into the green balance skill line. And it starts off as fungal growth. We morphed it to enchanted growth. This will heal us and the target in the cone area, kind of like a triangle shape, out to 20 meters. But any target that we heal will gain minor intellect and minor endurance, increasing their magicka and stamina recovery by 15% for 20 seconds. So this is really important to kind of apply to your group members, because if their recoveries are up, the longer they'll be able to DPS, and even the healer will be able to cast their spells a little bit longer because they're getting their magicka back too as well. Next ability we have is down into the Destruction Staff skill line. Second ability to unlock starts off as Wall of Elements. We then morph it to Elemental Blockade. This is an 18 by 12 meters, so about 12 meters wide by 18 meters deep, kind of rectangle shape that lasts for 11 seconds. This will deal some damage to targets in the area every 1 second, and since it's a blockade of frost, we'll look at here. And we will apply a frost safeguard for 6 seconds to us and nearby allies that can absorb up to 10,900 damage from projectiles. So what projectiles mean again is we protect damage from archers and mages casting their arrows or casting their magicka bolts at us. This does not protect us from melee fighters. They cut right through this. On top of it, shield enemies become frozen and are immobilized for 4 seconds. So this is another way to kind of soft crowd control ads type thing. We kind of keep them nared for like 4 seconds. Now, next ability we have is a flex spot. Currently, right now, I'm running into the animal companion skill line. With the third ability to unlock starts off as Swarm, I went with Growing Swarm. This is the stand version of it. That's a 5-meter radius around the target that will cause the enemy to bleed for X amount of damage over 10 seconds. Now, the main reason we actually want to use this is because by afflicting the enemy with this, we apply minor vulnerability for the duration, which increases their damage taken by 5%. So now our DPS are going to hit a lot harder. Even our healer, when they heavy attack or do damage to them, they're also going to hit a little harder as well. On top of it, enemies near the carrier takes 800 bleed damage every 2 seconds for the duration, so it's kind of nice to do damage over time, but we really like the minor vulnerability here. Now, if you're kind of running with another Warden and they're using minor vulnerability here, then I would just go over into Bull Netch. Because what Bull Netch does is it restores about 5,000 stam to us over 25 seconds, gives us major brutality and sorcery, increasing our weapon and spell damage by 20%. I mean, we ain't really looking for damage as a tank, but it's still kind of nice to get that stam, and that's what we really like. On top of it, every 5 seconds this guy is active, we remove one negative effect from us, so it's kind of like a free cleanse, and we can recast it to get a heal off of it as well. So if you're kind of struggling with stam, then this is what I would use instead of the Growing Swarm. Again, if you also have a Warden healer using not Growing Swarm, but if you have a healer using this, the other morph of this, applying minor vulnerability, then that's why I would use Bull Netch. Now going over into the next ability we have, down into the Winter's Embrace. It is the first ability to unlock, starts off as Frost Cloak, we morph it to Expansive Frost Cloak. This is out to 28 meters, lasting for 20 seconds, which increases us and our allies' resistance by 5,900 for 20 seconds and gives us major resolve. So our major resistance is really nice. More resistance we have, the more damage we can take. Next ability we have is all the way down into the Undaunted skill line. It is the third ability to unlock, starts off as Inner Fire. I morph it to Inner Beast to deal some physical damage and taunt enemies at a range to attack us for 15 seconds because this can go up to 28 meters. The enemies will take 10% more damage from our attacks. With this version, if you go the other morph, then your range allies have a 100% chance to activate the Radiating Synergy. But with the Stam morph, we end up only having a 50% chance for allies to activate the for the Radiant Synergy, dealing 5,000 magicka damage over them over 3 seconds, and an additional 5,000 magic damage to them and other nearby enemies. Now for the ulti on this one, we went into the Assault skill line. Started off as Warhorn, we morphed it to Aggressive Warhorn. This lasts for 30 seconds with 20 meters around us. That will increase our group's max magicka and max stam by 10% for 30 seconds. This is really, really nice because by having more resources, the longer our DPS can DPS without using like a heavy and slow down their rotations and stuff. But we mostly like this because we also gain, or we give allies, us and allies, major force, increasing their critical damage by 20% for 10 seconds. So if your DPS are really crit damage focus, they will hit a lot harder and burn bosses a lot quicker with this. So going over the passives, we'll start all the way at the top. And for the passives, I will only be covering the key passives for the build. I still recommend that you go through all your passives and read them. Some do help in different ways. I am just focusing more on what makes the build shine type thing. So starting in the Animal Companion skill line, we have Savage Beast. When you cast an Animal Companion's ability, While in combat, you generate 4 ultimate, and this effect can occur once every 8 seconds, which is really nice to get that ultimate. And see, that would be either our Growing Swarm, which has a 10-second duration, so basically when it's out, recast it, we're getting ultimate. Blue Betty lasts a lot longer, and so you would have to recast it again to kind of every, 8 seconds in order to get more ultimate, but you mostly want to keep this on, so just for your information about that. Next we have Flourish, which increases our magic and stamina recovery by 12% for animal companion ability slotted. That's why our recovery is higher on our staff bar than our sword and board, is because we have 1 animal companion ability here and none on our front bar. Now, I did say too that Bond with Nature, anytime you use one of your animal companion skills and you do heal, so you could use the Blue Bet or the Bull Netch, you could use it, recast it again to just get a little quick heal if you need to as well. So just, that's something, if you were running this, that would be a key passive, I would say, for that one. Next, in the green, Balance skill line, we are going to look at Maturation. When we activate a heal on ourselves or an ally, we grant the target minor toughness, increasing their max health by 10%. So this is really, really nice because for us, we get more health. On top of it, we can increase the health of our group members. And again, if we go back into the aggressive Warhorn, we're increasing the group's max magicka, max stam. So yes, you can give your group 10% more max magicka, max stam, and health. So yes, you are buffing a lot of everybody's resources. Then over into the Winter's Embrace skill line. This one we have Political Presence, I think that's how it is. Yeah, something like that. But the nice thing about this is we have a chance to apply the chill to enemies with Winter Embrace abilities by 200%, so we can get that chill status effect, so we can apply that minor main to them with our Polar Winds and our Gripping Shard. But on top of it too, enemies and allies who have been recently chilled, yes, we could chill allies with our Permafrost, take 10% more critical damage, and that's, the enemies will take 10% more critical damage, and allies will take 10% more healing from us. That's kind of what that means a little bit there. Next we have Frozen Armor, which increases our physical and spell resistance by 500 for each Winter Embrace ability slot. So we have 1 here for 500, and we have 2 here, so that gives us 1,000. That's why our resistance are better on our sword and board bar. Now we're going over into the one-handed and shield skill line. Here we have Fortress, which reduces the stam cost of our one-handed and shield abilities, which is nice, but it's mostly here to reduce the cost of blocking by 36%, so we can block a lot longer on the build. Then we got Sword and Board, which just increases our weapon and spell damage by 5%. Is okay, but it's mostly to the amount of damage we can block by 20%. Definitely help us a lot, so we don't take as much damage, so that way we can survive a lot better with this passive on. Then last we have Deflected Bolt. This increases the amount of damage we can block from projectiles and ranged attacks by 14%, and it does stack with the Sword and Board, so a total of 34% more damage we can block while holding block from mages and archers out there. Now in the Destro Staff skill line, we have the one I would say is Elemental Force, which increases the chance to apply the status effect by 100%. So for us, Ice Staff, it'd be minor main, but if we're also equipping it, we could get that minor brittle, so which is really, really nice to increase. The enemy will take an increase of critical damage by 10% there. Now, a optional passive here would be Triforce, or Trifocus, I mean. And the reason for that is because we do get, when using a Nice Staff with a heavy charge attack, we do get a damage shield for 10,200, which can be nice for us. But while an ice staff is equipped, blocking costs magicka instead of stam. So since we got a really good stam or magicka recovery, I should say, for me, I thought it was okay to use Trifocus because we got so much recovery that if we are struggling with sustaining on our stam for blocking, we can go to our staff, block there for a while our stam actually increases and comes back to us. Or like if our potion's on cooldown and we just need a little bit more for it to come back up and pop the potion to get more stam back, this is kind of a way to do it. Or give us time with our bull edge to give us more stam back. So this is why I kind of use Trifocus. You don't have to, it's just an option here. Now we're going to go over into the armor skill line, starting with light armor. So a lot of this will end up giving us more magicka recovery. We can reduce cost of magicka abilities. There's spell and weapon critical in here. There's spell and physical penetration, along with other, bonuses to it, other penalties, with penalties being listed here and bonuses being listed there. Over into the medium armor, this will give us some stam recovery here. We can reduce the cost of stam abilities. There's critical damage, critical healing done, weapon and spell damage, and other bonuses as well. Medium armor doesn't get a negative bonus, so here are some bonuses for wearing medium armor. Now over into the heavy armor. Here, this will end up giving us more like resistances. We have more health recovery, resources restored when we take damage. There's max health, along with some bonuses and penalties as well, with penalties being listed here and bonuses here. Now down into the Fighters Guild, we have Intimidating Presence. This allows us to intimidate NPCs for questing purposes as we level this guy up, but we want to reduce the stam cost of Fire Guild ability by 15% because Silver Leech. That way we can pull more enemies in a little bit better. We do have Slayer, which increases our weapon and spell damage by, could be 3% if we pop it here while we're on our front bar. Banish the Wicked. Whenever we kill an enemy, we get one ultimate, so we want with ability slotted, so we have one on the front bar, so if we kill an enemy on our front bar, we can generate up to 3 ultimate here. Mage's Guild, just Persuasive Will here, just for questing purposes alone. Then in the Undaunted, we have Undaunted Command. This, when activating a synergy, restore 4% of our max health, stam, and magicka. So for us, we will get 1,700 health, 900 stam, and 826 magicka. So kind of nice to always pop those synergies, keep your resources up. Undaunted Metal. This increases our max health, stam, and magicka by 2% per type of arm worn. And yes, we got 6%, so we are at least wearing 1 medium, 1 heavy, and 1 light. On the build, we are running a Nord. Other options for this, you could run, let's say, an Argonian or Imperial. That's what commonly everybody likes to run. If you really want to run any other race, you can do so. Just keep in mind, if you do so, you are going to be lacking in some, like, compared to my build, you might be lacking in some stam, you might be lacking some health. I mean, you might be better in some other things than what my build is, but just keep that in mind. If you do other races than what I have, your stats will look different. So I went with the Nord because we have Resistant Frost. This increases our max health by 1,000, and Frost Resistant by 4,600. Just kind of nice little flavor with it. But the max health is really nice there. Stalwart. Increase our max stam by 1,500. Stam is really nice for us, and then when we take damage, we gain 5 ultimate, and this can occur once every 10 seconds. So ulti gen on this build will be really, really nice, and it's a very good thing to have ulti gen on this build. Later on into this gear and Slottables we are running, we'll let you know why. And last, we have Rugged, which increases our physical and spell resistance by 2,600, so allowing us to be a little bit more tankier. Over into Alchemy, the most important one we have here is medicinal use. Whenever we use a potion, resulting effect lasts 30% longer. So like at base level without having medicinal use, your potions, the effects that they have only last for 39 seconds, which your potion cooldown to recast one is 45 seconds, so you got 9 seconds of not getting those buffs. By getting medicinal use, your buffs should last you 47 seconds, so you have like 100% uptime there. So make sure to get medicinal use so you can keep your buffs on your potion up longer. Then all the way down into provisioning, I have gourmet here. This just adds 20 minutes to the duration of any eaten food I have. So that's why my food can last up to about almost 3 hours. This also has to do with something within the champion point system. But if you do run a drink on the build, you want to use Consier, because this will add 20 minutes to the duration of that to have it last longer, so you don't have to, you know, use gold to buy your foods, or you don't have to, you know, constantly keep making food and all that other stuff or drinks, because they don't last as long. Okay, now over into the gear and Slottables we are running. Starting with our slottable items for food, we are currently right now running the Crown Fortified Meals because we get those in daily logins. This will increase our max health, max magicka, and max stam by a good amount for 2.5 hours. If you do have the money and gold or even resources to create it, Bewitched Sugar Skulls will probably be a little bit better because you'll get a little bit slightly more max health, max stam, and magicka. On top of it, you will get some health recovery by 462. Now for potions on the build, I run the Crown Tri Restoration Pots. This is just to restore some health, magicka, and stam. But the main reason is we get Major Fortitude, Major Intellect, and Major Endurance, which increases our health, magicka, and stam recovery by 30% for 47 seconds, and that's where medicinal use comes into play. This is kind of like essentially tripods, basically. So giving you the 3 resources, at least try to get that. Yes, you got, let's say, health, magicka, and stam, but it only, for the build, it works a lot better if you use things to actually give you all 3 resources as a tank. It's important because all 3 of those resources are very important to you. Now, starting on our weapons, we are running Absorb Stam enchantment on this axe. You can run, let's say, Weakening to reduce the target's damage to us and allies. You could do Absorb Magicka if you want Magicka to come back in, but this is whenever we deal damage, we'll deal some more damage and we will restore 163 stam. If it was Absorb Magicka, it would be then 163 Magicka. For traits on this, we went Decisive just to, whenever we gain ultimate, we have a 25% chance to gain additional ultimate, so we can get ultimate from our Growing Swarm or Blue Betty every single time we cast it for, you know, every 8 seconds. Getting hit, we get some ultimate there as well, so just kind of nice to build some ultimate as we go. Now, this is part of the Jorvil Guidance set. For 2 pieces and 3 pieces, we get 124 Magicka recovery. 4-piece bonus, we get 4% healing done. Magicka recovery is really nice on a tank because our both snap heals are always based off of max health, or are always a Magicka based ability. Now the 5-piece bonus here is while we are in combat, we increase the duration of all major buffs, minor buffs, and damage shields you apply to ourselves and allies for 40%. So yes, our durations are going to last a lot longer. We'll actually go over the gear before I show you a lot of those durations. Now on the shield we have max stam enchantment just for more stam for blocking, and sturdy just to reduce the cost of blocking so we can block for a longer duration. For the staff, we have the ice staff with the crusher enchantment to reduce the target's physical and spell resistance by 1,800, and we want the infuse on this because we want to increase the weapon's enchantment to lower, like I was talking about earlier, the lower you reduce the target's physical and spell resistance, the stronger your DPS are going to hit. And on top of it, infused trait also reduces enchantment cooldown by 50%, so we can proc a lot more often to keep that uptime a lot better for everybody. Now, for the monster set on this, we are running Magma Incarnate. with Max Magicka enchantment on here. With the infused trait, just because I wanted a little bit more resources, but the Magma Incarnate set gives us 124 magic and 124 stam recovery for the first piece bonus. Nice for more magicka recovery. Keep up our resources on that. Now the 2-piece bonus is whenever you heal yourself or a group member with a single target heal ability, grant the lowest health group member within 28 meters of minor courage and minor resolve, increasing their weapon and spell damage by 215 and armor by 2,900 for 10 seconds. Daedric energy will then bounce to a nearby group member within 8 meters up to 3 times, applying minor courage and minor resolve for 10 seconds. This effect can occur once every 15 seconds. Now, this does actually work with Jorvals. So instead of this being 10 seconds, it's probably more of a 14-second time. And so we're also giving our DPS more damage with this, or resistance, so that's why also my resistance can get to 31,000. Now, I will make a key note here. Keep this in mind. I know it says whenever you heal yourself or a group member with a single target heal ability. This is very misleading. What you need to keep in mind is this only works if you have some missing health. So we're going to kind of back up from our target dummy a little bit, so that way we don't hit him with this. So we're going to apply this. Okay, now we'll wait for the cooldown. I will wait for my major toughness, which is the one currently at 16 seconds, now 15. Go down to, you know, roughly about 2 seconds, because Magma Incarnates should proc every 15 seconds. As you can see, since I'm at full health, I cannot proc it again. Even if I was in combat, I could not proc it again. The only way I can proc it is if I actually have some missing health. So just keep that in mind. You got to have some missing health in order for this heal to work, or if one of your allies has some missing health for it to work. This is why it's kind of a little bit misleading here on Xbox, is because it does not work the way that it talks about like other monster helms out there. Like we can bring up like Sentinel of Rekumaj, we can bring up Bogdan the Night Flame. You can bring those ones up, and those ones are based whenever you heal yourself or a group member. Now, before we kind of show you the duration on a lot of things, we want to go over the last set we have. Next, we have Saxiel's Champion. This is a trial set. We went max stam enchantment on the body here, with pretty much everything else being max stam enchantment as well, going all the way through. And reinforce it, I typically like putting it on the legs and the chest, just for more armor, and with sturdy to reduce the cost block by 3.5% on shoulders, waist, hands, and feet. Typically is how I usually set up my builds. Now for Saxiels here, this gives us 1000 max magicka, which is nice. We also reduce the damage that we take from dungeon trials and arena monsters by 5% because we get minor ages. We also get then 1000 max stam, so we get both of our resource pools up. 5-piece bonus here is when we use an ultimate ability while in combat, you and up to 11 group members within 28 meters of you gain major force for 1 second per 15 ultimate spent, increasing your critical damage done by 20%. Now, I know what some people are going to say is, well, then why do you have Warhorn on for a skill? Why didn't you use a barrier? Well, first, I don't have barrier unlocked. On top of it, too, I was more so looking at giving everybody their max magicka, max stam, because we increased that Warhorn duration too by a lot longer than most other tank builds out there because of our Jorvals. Now, we're just gonna go over this and show you. So we're gonna be in combat. Now we'll show you. See, as you can see, our 11 counter is counting down. It's at 13, but you always gotta count to 0, so that's 14 seconds. If I was taking damage on the build here, I'd wait wait for a tick, and then I'd heal again, and it should proc. But like I said, since I'm not taking damage, it cannot proc again on me. Now, since we're still in combat, we'll put this down. Now, our major resolve lasts for about 28 seconds, which is a very long time for not needing to cast it, so that keeps our sustaining for us way better. Now, our enchanted growth lasts also for 28 seconds, same with our minor toughness. So you got quite a bit of ability lasting 28 seconds that you don't need to like recast. Now, here's my potion. My potion lasts for 1 minute and 2 seconds. So a very, very long time for it. So I mean, you have roughly from 45 seconds, you basically got like 15 to 17 seconds of those major intellect, major toughness, and major endurance to apply after your potion cooldown, which is really, really strong. Now, here we go with our Warhorn. Warhorn lasts for 32 seconds, with major force lasting us for 46 seconds. That's a long time to have major force being active on a build at any point in time. So yes, even our damage shield, when we heavy attack, lasts us 8 seconds, which is insane to have a 10k damage shield for 8 seconds when instead of 6. Now, let's go back in. Now, I do understand that some people do not have trial gear and some people cannot get into trials, so what I would switch this out with is back into what we were running in the last build, running Brands of the Imperium. With Brands of the Imperium, we actually are going to increase our max health for the 2 and 3 piece set by 1,000. We also get a 4% healing taken, so we are going to, you know, receive more healing to us. But the nice part about this set is when we take damage, we grant us and our group members within 8 meters a damage shield that absorbs 10,800 damage for 6 seconds, and this effect can occur once every 12 seconds. Well, since it lasts 8 seconds, it only will have a 4-second cooldown from our Jorval set. And it's kind of nice because we give damage shields to the group. And I guess I forgot for our projectile too, because we get a projectile shield that will last us 6 seconds as well. Because I believe in the skill that says it lasts for 4, if I remember right. Yeah, for 8.4 seconds. Now going over into the last of our accessories for the neck. Neck and ring, all the enchantments is Magicka Recovery, and then for the neck we want Max Magicka, and then for the rings we want Healthy, just to give ourselves a little bit more health boost as well on the Jorvals here. Now over into the champion point tree. In the crafter here, there's nothing really too special about this one. Just for Slottables here, we want Treasure Hunter just to get the better quality of items in chests that we find. We have Rationer just to add 10 minutes, or I should say 30 minutes to the duration of any food or drink that we have. That's why it can last almost 3 hours. Then we have a Liquid Efficiency, just whenever we use a potion or poison, we have a 10% chance not to consume them. That way we can keep our potions maybe hopefully a little bit longer. That way we don't have to go recreate them. And then we got just Steed's Blessing, just to increase our movement speed by 20% out of combat, which is kind of nice. Then over into the blue tree, this is where a lot of our resistance come into. Some of the Slottables here, we have a Duelist Rebuff, reducing our damage taken by 10% from single target attacks. Enduring Resolve, reduce damage taken from damage over time effects by 10%. Unsaleable, this reduces damage taken from area effects by 10%. And then into here we have Ironclad, which reduces damage taken by direct damage attacked by 2%. You'll also want to focus quickly into this, into this tree as well, because we get quick recovery here, which increases our healing taken by 2. But we really want preparation here, because this reduces damage taken from non-player attacks by 10%, especially if we're set up for PVE content, player versus environment. And then you have Elemental Ages, which reduces your damage taken by 2% from magic, flame, frost, and shock. And then over here is the stand version with Hardy with physical, poison, disease, and bleed damage, 2% damage reduction. I mean, then we got 20 points into Bless just for increasing our healing done, can heal us a little bit better. Eldritch Sight, just more max stam, and then we have Tireless Discipline for more max stam over here. Magicka stam, I think I said them the wrong way around, but then over in here, I didn't go this way around because I want to have a better chance with Flawless Ritual, a chance to increase the chance by 60% to apply magical status effect. That way we can maybe have a better chance applying that minor brittle, so that way enemies take a 10% more critical damage intake. And then War Mage here just, you know, gives us weapon and spell damage to magical attacks as well, since we've got quite a bit of magic attacks. Now over into the red tree, we have Fortified as one of our Slottables, just to give ourselves more armor. If you feel like you got way too much armor, then we could put this somewhere else if you so desire. Let's say if we were running, let's say, Brands of the Imperium with the damage shield, then I would probably put into Bastion here just to increase the effectiveness of our damage shields. That way our damage shields are a lot stronger for us and group members. Boundless Vitality just gives us 1,400 max health. I do use Expert Evasion just for roll dodges. That way we don't have to use so much stam just to roll dodge if we, you know, roll out of the way. And if we don't recast it for another 30 seconds, it's another free rod duel, or another free Raj duel for us. So just keep that in mind, it's kind of nice. We got reduced cost of roll dodge here. We got reduced cost of breaking free. 20 points into Hero's Vigor, just to give us a little bit more max health. We got reduce the duration of elemental status effects to us by 25%. This hasty is just for movement speed. Really important one that you really want to get right away is fortification over here. This just increases the amount of damage you can block by 4% all the way up. Reduce the cost of block, which is kind of nice, get a little bit more out of it. Bashing, sometimes you need to interrupt, just kind of nice to reduce the cost by 90 points. I know it's not a lot, but every little bit helps. Then we got increase our movement speed while bracing by 6%, but our last Slottable is Bracing Anchor, is while in combat increase the amount of damage we can block by 20% because we're all the way leveled up, and but we reduce our movement speed by 16% at all stages. So if we are in combat, we drastically move a lot slower, so just keep that in mind. So that will wrap things up on the Warden tank build. Thank you all for watching. If you liked the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. If you want to stay up to date with newer content, click the bell so you can get notified when I have a new video. You can follow me over on Twitch and chat with me live if you like. If you have questions about the build or other suggestions, you can leave a comment down into the comment section down below over at Twitter. Thank you all again for watching. I hope to see you in game or in the next video.